unmute. All right, everybody, let's take a deep breath and let's just breathe into the beautiful grace of this evening, where many wonderful things have come to the surface in the past week, and this earthly journey has its cycles, its ups and downs, but we are always grateful for the good moments, for the things we have to be grateful for, and for our awareness and wisdom that comes to us through all of our struggles. Everyone in this group is so deeply united, heart to heart, and so deeply connected as souls who are all seeking the higher knowledge and higher wisdom of the earthly journey. And because of that, we are blessed with grace and wisdom, and every desire and wish and intention we have is multiplied in love from our own God consciousness. And so it is. So we have 11 people, and I'm going to do the unmute thing. So I'm so happy to see people here. And woohoo, Lisa made it. Lisa had some last minute things with her mom, and we were wondering if she could make it, but she made it. I'm so glad. So a couple good things here to talk about. Toby's intuition told her to stay home, and she stayed home, did not go see her son. But meanwhile, all of her prayers and our prayers lifted her son up, and he somehow got on different meds and it changed him, and he's doing awesome right now. So we're very grateful for that. And then for me, last Saturday morning, I found out that I've been recommended for ordination. Woohoo!
Yay.
And so in June, I'll be headed to Unity Village to be officially ordained. But I also am trying to, with Kate and Verl's help, figure out how to do an ordination celebration here at Unity of Phoenix, because this is where my people are. So we'll figure that out. And I want to get started, but I just wanted to check in. Anybody have anything? Verl, I'm hoping you had a better week this week.
I did have a much better week, and my new Bible is chapter 9 in this book.
Yes, I agree 100%. I love chapter 9.
Chapter 9 says it all. Yep. And yeah, thank you for the prayers that you get sent to me. I really did. It's interesting. It's been many, many years, but sometimes things come up.
Verl, it's totally normal, baby girl. It's completely normal.
Yeah.
And, for me, even I had a weepy day this week for different reasons. And crazily, I was picturing Paul cheering me on at Unity Village, being ordained. And I was really wishing he was alive. So, because he had a master's in divinity and he supported me spiritually on this journey so much to be ordained. And I just saw his face standing next to me on the stage when I get ordained. And I just started crying and crying. And as you guys know, Paul died in 1980. So, grief happens.
Yeah, kind of comes and goes. Didn't I show you girls the
hummingbird pin.
The hummingbird pin, and I don't have it on today, but I've been wearing it.
Oh,
and I was just walking my dog. I just got back, and I stopped to talk to a couple of neighbors. Surprise, surprise! I stopped to talk to somebody, and we're talking, and this hummingbird comes right over.
Wow, that's so
right by the tree that was right next to me, and then comes right over in my face, and I said, why am I not wearing my hummingbird pin? But
did any of you that's right. Yeah. Did any of you watch 1883? I love that series so much. And the final episode, it's that whole story is about grief, in my opinion. The whole 1883 series, I literally cried my way through it. I thought it was so beautiful. But at the very end, one of the main characters, Shay, is grieving the loss of his wife and children, and he sits down on the beach, and a hummingbird comes and just hangs out right in front of his
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
And I just thought Taylor Sheridan, who wrote that series, he must know grief. He must know the symbol of hummingbirds, because that was really, really beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
And
Anything else?
they're back at Unity too.
The
'Cause,
hummingbird?
we used to meet at Unity, there are a group of us on Thursdays, and we would see them, and then all of a sudden we didn't see any, but they're back. So
Good,
I don't
good.
know where they went. Spring vacation.
Yeah.
Someplace.
Respite.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Gina, this is for Gina. Is that your baby?
Gina?
Yeah, she doesn't have she's muted.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hey, babe, can you unmute Gina?
Yes, hello.
Do we have a
Here's
name?
Vigo again.
Do we have a name?
And what's the name?
Vigo.
I'm sorry.
Vigo.
Vigo.
Yeah.
Isn't that a beautiful baby? I was
That's
just
beautiful.
telling her
Look at that face.
he's
Look at
so
that face.
good.
You guys, he is so
good.
excited to see you all.
Aw. We love you, Vigo.
Thanks.
Anyway, his hair kind of looks like mine.
He just had a bath.
Yeah.
Somebody told me today, I know we're totally off topic. Somebody told me today I ought to mousse my hair up like this and have it stand up because it would open my face up.
Now, who told you that? You're perfect as you are.
Marty.
I said, the reason I wear it this way, I want my face covered up.
Yeah, that's what I do too. All right, so let's talk about chapter 9. I just think this whole chapter 9 is so beautiful, the secret place of Most High.
Yeah.
And I have a few quotes from there to read, and then if any of you want to share your moments from chapter 9, that would be awesome. At the great heart of humanity, there is a deep and awful homesickness that never has been and never can be satisfied with anything less than a clear, vivid consciousness of the indwelling presence of God. I just think that's so beautiful. I think that's what sadness is too, sadness and even depression is we are longing for that connection to the inner God consciousness. And then another quote, let's see. The secret place of the Most High, where each one of us may dwell and be safe from all harm or fear of evil, is the point of mystical union between humans and spirit, or God in us, wherein we no longer believe but know that God in Christ abides always at the center of our being as our perfect health, deliverance, prosperity, power, ready to come forth into manifestation at any moment we claim it, we know it. Anybody else have any thoughts on chapter 9?
I just thought the whole chapter was just,
I liked page 119,
Mhm.
paragraph that states, books and lectures are good. Teachers are good. But you must learn for yourself that Christ, the Son of God, lives in you.
Yeah.
That he within you is your light and life and all.
I have that all underlined. That whole quote is underlined.
I do too. I do too. Yeah.
I agree, because it's really those moments of listening to the small silent voice within that we really do get our God-centeredness in us. So I just love this. I love the whole thing. Yeah, and on 118, it says, each man must come to a time when he no longer seeks external helps, when he knows that the inner revelation of my Lord and my God to his consciousness can come to him only through an indwelling power that has been there all the time, waiting with infinite longing and patience to reveal the Father to the child. Now, there's a lot of masculine words used that nowadays aren't quite appropriate, but it's still a beautiful, beautiful thought. All right. So the question I think that we should talk about in chapter 9 is, share your feelings and experiences about going to your secret place of Most High and how you access it and how it feels to you. And even it's interesting to know past experiences people have had. Like I remember the first time, actually the first day that I was taught to meditate, 1980. And I'll never forget, like I took to it like a duck to water. And I felt like, my gosh, this going into the silence and going into sit in that stillness feels like coming home to me. I'll never forget that feeling. Well, that'll be your question for chapter 9. And then chapter 10, that's such an interesting chapter, finding the secret place. I'm going to read a few quotes from there. We hear a great deal about sitting in the silence. To many, it does not mean very much, for they have not yet learned how to wait upon God or to hear any voice except external ones. Noise belongs to the outside world, not to God. God works in the stillness. Oh, and I think it's important that we talk about in chapter 10, she talks on page 128 about, I believe she's describing the lower astral realms, because she says, quote, spirits of those departed appear to them, but if you want the highest that is for you, this should not be yielded to. I know that some of you caught that. And my thoughts on this is that there is, of course, a low astral realm where lost souls go until they move to the light, choose to move to the light. And back in the day that Emily Cady was writing, you guys know about spiritualism that was very popular back then, and seances and spirit boxes and all that stuff. And those were techniques, and like Ouija boards are the same, I believe, that can really sort of attract lost souls, those lower energies. The Hindus called it the realm of the hungry ghost. And that's why it's so important. When we meditate, we either use some sort of sacred prayer to get us started or sacred mantra. That's why I love Om Namah Shivaya, because it's sacred words. Yeah. And God loves me. Emily Cady says to use the mantra, oh, God loves me. That's so beautiful. And when I connect to departed spirits, I always have taught for years, it's important to go to those spirits from a place of pure love and gratitude, because that raises us up to the highest levels of connection. And when I teach my moms to connect to their departed, I always take them through a process of remembering a really happy memory they had with their child, and that raises their vibration to love, and that really connects them to the spirits. So that's how I interpret what she's saying here in chapter 10. I think that's all that you can. Yeah, she says, nature abhors a vacuum, and if you make your mind a vacuum, the thought images of others that fill the atmosphere about you will rush in to fill it, leaving you far away from the consciousness of the divine presence. You can prevent this by beginning your silence with prayer. And so, I think that is a valid metaphysical truth, that we have to go to the sacred energy to connect to the other side. So I think a good question for chapter 10 is, what has been your experience of connecting to departed spirits or sitting in the silence? Do you use prayer or meditation, or what do you do? Because I do think it's a valid thing to discuss. So those are our 2 chapters for right now, and we have 12. So I'm going to put us in 3 groups to talk about this. All right, I'll see you in your groups. I had to come in this one because this is all my favorite people.
And the baby.
And the baby, right?
Vigo, sweetheart. Hi. What? Let's figure out Vigo's birth path. I bet he's probably a master soul.
Gina, give us the date of birth.
He's December 23rd, 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
Christmas baby.
Oh, wasn't he at 22? Didn't I already tell you that? I think.
No, I don't think you told. I had a reading with you right before he was born.
Oh, right.
So,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a 22. Hold on. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, he's a 4. He's a straight up 4, a cap 4. Well, all I got to say about that, Gina, is that is a strong kid. And that kid is going to be confident, strong, responsible, and not going to cross over. You never have to worry about that. A 4 is here to dig in and be strong. He'll probably be an athlete.
okay, all right.
Wow.
That's awesome. Thank you.
All right. So what are you guys' thoughts about chapter 9 and 10?
So interesting. And I think, especially in the 21st century, how difficult it is to go to, this special place when just, social media and just the speed of our world, it's more important now than ever to do it and to make a conscious effort to do it as often as possible.
Yeah, our world that we're living in is definitely not comfortable with the silence or with turning within. That's why we're needed. That's why we are light workers, because we know we have to go to the silence. We know that there's a higher consciousness than just these activities happening in the outer world. And Lisa, you and I have talked about before how we can't be pulled out all day long into the outer world, especially watching news or anything. We've really got to hold our own place, inner place, as sacred, and really make sure we're meditating at least once a day and tuning inward and using our mala beads when we can, because this world will make you crazy if you give it half a chance.
Right. And I have to say, Toby, I don't know if it's a lamp to the left of you, but every time I look at it, it just looks like angel wings.
I agree with you. It looks like angel wings. It totally
Really?
does. I've been thinking that.
I
Yes,
love it.
looks like angel wings. And Gail, how are you tonight, baby?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, these 2 chapters were good. This sitting in the silence is something I try to make a conscious effort to do before I get out of bed in the morning and before I go to sleep at night. And I call it like sitting in the power,
Yeah.
but just like, going within, feeling my light turning up and just connecting and just wanting to find that stillness.
Yeah.
That's something I wasn't even aware of before I had my spiritual awakening. And now it's just like a whole new world for me.
I remember last week you said before my shattering, you were explaining something. And I thought how incredibly beautiful as a way of saying you were shattered when your sun crossed, but then you were put back together, in a whole different way. It's like a whole new configuration. And
Whole new configuration. Yeah. Yep.
I love that phrase.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. So and I can't remember, Gail, had you grown up in any kind of religion before?
Catholic. I grew up Catholic. I was raised Catholic, went to Catholic school, but, raised the kids, going to CCD and getting their, sacraments, but we weren't weekly churchgoers. I didn't ever feel like I didn't buy into all that when I was in elementary school and high school, that like you had to sit in a church once, for an hour every Sunday. I didn't think that made you any better than anybody else. I think it's your daily practice of how you treat people. That's your religion. That's what matters.
Yep, absolutely. And Gina, do you have thoughts on this? Or are you too busy with beautiful Vigo?
Yeah, It's interesting because, this place in my life, I'm in silence a lot with him during
Yeah.
the day. And when I nurse, I try to just make a concerted effort to just quiet my mind and try to go inward. And sometimes I just wonder, like, I know there's maybe no doing it right, meditating correctly, because I've been studying meditation for a while and practicing, not as consistently as I'd like to, but the idea of listening and hearing is something I would love to understand more about, because I hear like this idea of prayer is sort of asking for something, while meditation is listening.
Mhm.
And then what does that mean when I'm trying to silence my mind?
Mhm.
Does the listening part is that like more of a metaphor for just going within and not expecting?
Well, when you first start meditating, it's true that you kind of put a lot of energy into just quieting the mind. That's usually just the first thing we do. But once you kind of get used to that process, and I like to use sacred mantra because it helps quiet the mind, you do start really receiving, or you can call it hearing, guidance. And it comes from your own higher self, your own God consciousness, but you can also tell the difference in vibration when it comes from a departed spirit, perhaps, or it comes from a higher being. Things come in different ways and in different vibration. And that's why when I used to teach intuitive work, I would teach people, if anything ever comes into your intuition that feels like fear or worry or negativity, it's not from the higher self or from God consciousness. So you delete that, do your mantra, and keep heading for the love and the light, because when it comes in from the higher realms, it is assuring and comforting and loving, even if it's telling you, be careful, there's something you need to be aware of. It comes in with such a grace and comfort that you feel okay about it, and you feel like, okay, I can do this. I write about that in all my books. But it's a really important difference to be aware of, because you never want to listen to that fear voice, that anxiety voice. And if that comes in while you're meditating, ignore it and do more mantra.
Okay, that's helpful. Yeah. So you think the first part is just the silencing, and then just getting used to that clarity, and then, okay, then the intuition is going to be able to have a stage more to.
But you have to
Let's see.
learn the difference between your monkey mind, ego mind thoughts coming in, and the soul whispering guidance to you. And the way you tell that difference is really, the monkey mind is almost always worry, chatter, you got to do this, be afraid of that, anxious, blah, 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 because that's how the ego functions, with pure survival as its intention. But the soul comes in with this grace and love and comfort. And you get used to telling the difference between those the more you meditate. It's kind of like developing a muscle. Like the more you meditate, the better you get at that discernment and at listening to the higher consciousness voice.
Okay.
I think
Thank you. That's so helpful. If you're teaching a class on meditation, please let us know.
Oh, I'd
Yeah.
love to. I should do another class on meditation. By the way, I'm doing an
Please.
Eric Butterworth class in April on another beautiful book that you guys will love. It's called Discover the Power Within You. And Lisa knows about that book. It's so profound. So I hope you can join me for that class. It's listed on my website too.
I signed up for it already and just got the book. So I'll start that next week.
You'll
Yeah.
love it, Gail. You'll love it. It's
Yeah,
highly recommend it.
That book and Emily Cady were my amazing enlightenment moments. They were the first two books I was told to read when I started my ministerial school classes, and they sealed the deal for me because they were so extraordinary. All right, I feel like the other rooms are gonna hate me. I need to go jump.
Okay.
Jump into the others. All right, I'll see you guys in a
Thank you.
bit. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, to get out.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
We're good.
Okay. Marcia, it's so good to see your face, girl. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's good to be here.
And you're healthy these days?
Knock on wood. Yes, I am. Thank you.
Good, sweetheart. And Becky, how are you doing?
I'm tired and debated showing up, but I could fall asleep this week's, yeah.
Aw.
But I'm okay, thank you.
Well, you guys keep talking about these chapters and I'm going to bring us back really soon. I got to check in on one more group.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Really was fun to hear.
So how are my favorite people in here?
All the profundity is gone.
I missed it. Short-lived. So what'd you guys think of chapters 9 and 10?
Lots of highlighted
Yeah.
things.
Yes.
Christy, you always point out great quotes. Were there any in there that you want to share?
Yes, there's one in particular at the end of chapter 10.
Okay.
And she's talking about God and who God is to you. And she says, your Lord is not my Lord, nor is my Lord your Lord. Your Lord is the Christ within your own being. My Lord is the Christ within my own being. I just love that.
I do
Absolutely
too.
beautiful. Absolutely. Yes.
And the one other says, his knowledge of spiritual things was used constantly to uplift and help other persons. We must do likewise, for newness of life and of revelation flows in the faster as we give out that which we have to help others.
Beautiful. I'm going to ask you to read those to the whole group when we get back.
Okay.
They're beautiful. Christy, you're so good at this. You always pick out the greatest quotes.
I've told you, Sue, I'm a reader.
All right. And Miss Tina, how are you?
I am well. I really have enjoyed this book in general, but particularly 9 and 10 a
Yeah,
lot.
they are magic chapters. They really, really are. Yeah. And Miss Kate.
I liked, I think it's this chapter. I guess I'm on 11. There was just so much in this, Sue. It was just so full.
It really is amazing to read this stuff and feel so inspired, even though we all read a lot of books and we all go to a lot of classes. I mean, Emily Cady's words hold so much power to them. What an amazing soul she is and was.
I can see like a lot of modern people that I have read and listened to, like I can see that it comes from this.
And, and
Yeah.
unity principles, you know, unity principles are so much about like the God within and everything. And she was hanging out with Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, you know, I mean, I often wonder if it was Emily Cady who started unity, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Mindy, how are you, sweetie?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I really love these as well.
Good. All right. Well, I'm going to get everybody to come back to the main room so we can all.
Okay.
All right. Here comes everybody.
Okay.
All right. Well, I heard a lot of great things in those rooms. Everybody really loves chapter 9, as we know. But I really loved something Christy pointed out. Christy always finds these incredible nuggets in the book. So Christy, why don't you share those quotes with us?
Okay, these are from chapter 10. It says, his knowledge of spiritual things was used constantly to uplift and to help other persons. We must do likewise, for newness of life and of revelation flows in the faster as we give out that which we have to help others.
That's so beautiful.
And the other one is, your Lord is not my Lord, nor is my Lord your Lord. Your Lord is the Christ within your own being. My Lord is the Christ within my own being.
I love that. Really love that. That really separates it from fundamentalist Christianity that, says there's this God outside of us and he's been defined by the Bible and all these churches, and that's who we have to listen to. And, Emily Cady is saying, no, my God is different. My God lives inside of me, and your God lives inside of you. I mean, that's so beautiful. And the truth is, we're all in different levels of our journey. And so, yes, we all have different kinds of guidance that we're getting at different times. And it's so important that we recognize that it comes from within.
And that's a radical idea today. I can't imagine how radical it was
right
in 1900.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was thinking about my Catholic family and how I remember this really sad story my mom told me back when I was in 8th grade. She had a miscarriage, and the Pope told her, the Pope told Catholics back then, and I think still does, that you can't use birth control. I think it was like a mortal sin back then. I don't know if it still is. And the doctor told her she couldn't have any more children or she would die. And she told me, well, the priest told her it just meant that she and dad could never have sex again. And my mother was young. Yeah. And, I remember her telling me, and so they listened to this priest telling them that. And there's so many people misled by leaders and people in power in religious organizations when our own inner God is telling us something different, something completely different. So, all right, let's talk about spiritual gifts, chapter 11. I thought that was a really nice chapter too. She says, there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. To no one is given through the Spirit the utterance of wisdom. No, to one is given through the Spirit the utterance of wisdom, and to another the utterance of knowledge, according to the same Spirit. Faith, gifts of healing, the working of miracles, prophecy, discernment of spirits are all gifts. So I want to ask you all to talk about what your spiritual gifts are and when you recognized them and how you use them in your life and work. And also chapter 12 is called Unity of the Spirit. And it has a very profound truth. She says on page 199, seek but for one thing, that is the consciousness of the presence of an indwelling God in you and your life. And then she talks on page 161, adhering to the single eye, seeing God only. Of course, seeing God only in everything. And then she says there must be a recognition of God's presence, a turning away from human efforts, and acknowledgement of God only, a single eye. This is so important. And I know, Lisa, you're always talking about the world, and I agree with you. Oh, we've lost. Oh, there she is. Okay. The world will pull us off our center and give us so many things to worry about. But if we can really see God in everything, then we can rise above it and go to our highest place, our secret place of most high, where we function best in the world and are most helpful to others as well. And I just love that idea. I want to see God in everything and everyone, even the situations that are troubling and disturbing, even the people who might be troubling and disturbing. We have to see God in everything. So your thoughts on that? Your question for that chapter would be, do you struggle to see God in everything and everyone, or or what
Yeah.
what inner tools can we use to be able to see God in everything and everyone?
Sue, I have a question for you as a Beatles fan. Do you think that's what George Harrison was thinking about when he wrote My Sweet Lord?
I think George was so enlightened. He was such a spiritual guy, so ahead of his time. So yeah, I do believe that he was writing about seeing God in everything and everyone. I love my Beatles, though. You should never ask me about the Beatles. I'm incredibly prejudiced for them.
He's my favorite Beatle. I know who yours is. George
Yeah.
is my favorite. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that song too. Love that song. Love it.
Yep. Yeah. Within You and Without You. That's such a beautiful song. And so many spiritual songs that George had a hand in. So, all right, let's go into our rooms and talk about these two final chapters, you guys. Final chapters here. Great. All righty, jump in.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
So final two chapters. Let's see what Christy has to say, because she's always got the best quotes.
I have to say that this chapter 11, I felt like it was addressing something in particular that I didn't quite understand, like an argument of the day, or I don't know. It just felt different to me in a way than the other chapters did.
I think she was often trying to address people. At that time, there was a big belief that in evil, that there were evil forces in the world. And people were often talking about that. And if it's my understanding, and I think she had a strong opinion about that there was no evil and that you had to affirm good, and that she thought people were pulled off their center by fear of evil, that sort of a thing. So I think you're right. I think she was really, kind of arguing with some people.
It didn't seem like, but one of the things that I did highlight talked about these works will be done without effort on your part, because they will be God, omnipotent, omniscient, manifesting himself through you in his own chosen direction. And I know I've read some things that it talks about, it's like law of attraction, and also what you focus on, and not letting it come to you instead of trying to force it.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere in the book, she talks about how we have to wait on God. We have to sit in the silence, in the I am. And I meant to talk about that tonight, because I think that's so important. We are trained to, when there's a problem, I got to go do something. I got to go fix it. I got to go find a solution, and yet often waiting on God is the thing to do. And I've learned lately that I'm saying a lot. I'm saying, please, God consciousness, go solve that problem for me. I don't have the bandwidth to take care of that today. Please go solve that. Or please find this for me. And then if I wait and just let it come to me, I'm finding that solutions do just sort of magically come to me when I'm waiting and trusting that God is gonna take care of that.
Instead of trying to make it happen.
Right, right.
Well, and I think he said that if you think of it, it's already in the works.
Wow, that's beautiful. Right.
I read that in there that
That's right. And I've even had fun with things like before, like last week when I was going through all that testing and stuff, before I'd go in to meet my panel of testers, I would just say, you know, God and Charles Fillmore, this is all on you all. If you want me to be a minister, you got to make this go well, because I'm not in control. I've done what I need to do, but it's for higher consciousness to move this where it needs to go. And that would always give me a sense of peace, you know, as I went into the testing and stuff. So I guess those spirits want me to be an ordained minister. I guess I said the right things.
I can't find find it right now, but I think it's in some way she said something about listing spiritual gifts, and at the end, you know, one of the spiritual gifts was just being yourself.
Mm,
and I like that, like you're just the light. As I guess kind of like you're an example or
that's
to
beautiful.
others, and that's a spiritual gift in and of itself.
So what do you all believe your spiritual gifts are? I think it's important to own that and claim it. Gail?
I think I have a healing energy, and it's through words, through what I say, and also providing the space for other people to share with me, and give them the space to receive healing. Even before all this happened, I look back at my life and I think of like weird situations where, like, I remember once, like 20 years ago, like the landscaper just sat down and started like talking to me about the divorce his wife wanted. And like I hardly even knew him. Like he just wanted somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
So I think there's just, I think that's what it is for me.
Yeah, I agree. You have a lot of wisdom, Gail. It's one of the many reasons I love you.
Thank you. Love you too.
Who else wants to share their spiritual gifts?
I think mine is also healing through the Reiki. And then also I've always been one with, as well as words, is people just come and tell me their whole life story and like, okay.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Yeah. So we would be the ones at parties who we would have to go into the other room with somebody because they were crying and needed to talk to us, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And actually, I would like that way better than being in the party.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it's also, we're intuitive and we're empathic, and we can naturally pick up on what other people are putting out. And so I think that's why people are drawn to wanting to talk or share or open up to us,
I agree.
because we have like a natural like light about us that they're drawn to.
Yeah. It's funny because when I used to take a shuttle in Boulder, I would take a shuttle to the airport when I was traveling a lot. And there was this one shuttle driver who would always make me sit in the front because he wanted to keep talking about his life. And he said, "Oh, you have such wise things to say." And I got so tired of it, like a long trip, you know, and you're on the shuttle and you just want to be quiet. But I'd have to sit there and just kind of listen and give him loving wisdom and stuff. And I just thought, well, at least it's a message from the universe that I'm helping somebody, you know.
Yeah.
But it does get tiring when you're out in the world and people are always coming to you for that, you know, in the grocery store.
I think you have to remember to take care of yourself
Yeah.
through that too, because I feel that way sometimes. It's like you're always giving everybody's calling and talking. This week has kind of been that way, and I feel like I just want Pierre.
Yeah, some time off. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're an empath, it's hard, it's hard to create those boundaries that you're not feeling all the emotions that they're feeling.
Mhm.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I remember when my kids were kind of young, like I would be in the grocery store and a client would come up to me and just want to pour their whole story out. And I'd be going, my daughter is here. Why don't you call me later? And it would always feel awkward. But on the other hand, I was always grateful that was when people saw me, that's what they wanted to do, was tell me their heart, because that meant on some level that I was available to them. And that was good. I want to be that way. I want to be the person that offers spiritual comfort to people,
I feel that right there with Mindy and Gail too, the compassion and the healing. I feel that's what I'm here to do, and I look forward to doing more of it as the years go on. I'm very sensitive as an 11 birth path.
You are.
But my Taurus sun sign grounds me. The moment I don't think I ever told you this, Sue, when I was going through my grief certification, as we had to work with a certain number of people and do a session with them. And it was a woman who had lost her teenage son. I think he was 17 or 18 to cancer. Right. And, I was nervous, but I was going through the process. I had all of their information. I had my hand on his name, and I wrote down what came in, and I read it back to her. And she ended up writing a book about her experience going through grief and his death. And I have a call out in her book, but it was something about mom, remember the keys. And of course, as you told us, you don't stop and think, you're just writing. And I'm reading this to her, and I said to her, now, of course, I don't know what this means. And it was a very big deal because there's a whole story behind the keys. And it really touched her in a great way. And it was her way of connecting with him. I think it was maybe even the first time. And then she felt that real connection.
So good, Lisa. That's so good. But the other thing is, you've taken care of your father when he was sick and dying, and now you're taking care of your mother. I believe you also have physical healing abilities like Reiki and energy and all of that. Because I've seen how you are with people, especially your mom, and you are an innate healer when someone is suffering and someone is in trouble. And that's a real gift.
Thank you very much. Many years ago, I went through the process, and I am a master Reiki level healer, but I've never used it. And the woman who
don't you use it with your mom sometimes?
I do. Yes, I do. And I did use it with my dad and with Spencer. But I mean, I never opened up my own business. And the woman who I went through the training with, the certification, the first time I met with her, she said to me, "Oh, you were supposed to be a doctor, an MD during this lifetime." And I laughed and I said, and she was looking at my palms too. And she said there was like some mark on my palm. I said, I never had any desire to go to med school or to be in an OR. And she goes, but you're a healer. You're a healer.
That's great. Well, listen, you guys talk about the chapter 12, seeing God in everything and everyone. I got to go visit some other groups. Love you all a lot.
Thank you.
So one grandson says, well, you can bring your dog out to my place. I said, well, I wouldn't have a car. No, we'll get you a car. We'll make sure you have a car.
So have you guys talked about your spiritual gifts?
Yeah, I'm talking about my sister who's looking for her spiritual gifts. So we didn't talk about spiritual gifts. What are our spiritual gifts?
Becky, what are your spiritual gifts?
I'm guessing it's listening to people. Because like I'll have people tell me they just talk.
So you offer wisdom and comfort.
Yeah. Not as much the last couple of years just being here, but
Yeah, that's really good. Tina, what are your spiritual gifts, honey?
I think mine is not letting people feel alone.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And you do that because whenever I see you, you just are so warm and loving and sweet. And it just always makes me feel good. I really appreciate that energy from you. And anybody else? Marcia, what are your spiritual gifts?
And thinking about that, I think writing is one of my gifts.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And have you guys talked about how do you see God in everything and everyone?
The Marcia and Becky and I kind of talked about that the last breakout.
All right. Well, I will just start bringing everybody back together then so we can talk about this. All right. Okay. Waiting for everybody. Tina.
Hey.
You really do have that beautiful heart, Tina. You always make me feel good when I see you.
Thank you.
We're back.
Toby, what are your spiritual gifts, Toby?
I feel my spiritual gifts is connectivity and love, that I'm here to bring people together, to connect them to these incredible speakers like you and my different psychic mediums that I have for the last 4.5 years. And so much healing, Sue, has happened at my house. And I even asked the question, if some of these spirits are here, do they leave or do they just stick around my house for a while?
I think you do have to burn some sage. You know, when I've been seeing a lot of grieving clients, I'll have to burn sage in my office because I can feel that, you know, there's still some energy here.
But
You know,
no,
I just started on a board and it's 3 Hopeful Hearts, and it's an organization for parents that have lost their children. And so that's what I was thinking. We had one of our board meetings at the office, and I thought that they're just some are into the energy stuff, but I thought, wouldn't that be a good thing to cleanse?
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I've even read and heard that, you know, if you do a lot of working with grief on any level of any kind, that you have to use either incense or sage or something to sort of lift up the air and cleanse a little bit afterwards, because grief can be a heavy, lingering energy. And I don't work in a heavy way. I always work in a very uplifting, inspiring way, but I do know that I can sense it when my house needs to be saged. And we found this great sage you can get on Amazon, a whole box of it. Yeah, it's really great and cheap, and you just go around and burn it. It makes the whole house smell good.
Look what's right by in my bedside.
There you are again.
There you go. There you go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. My
a
cat.
lot of times they make us clap like really hard and really loud to like bring the energy in the room.
Yeah, that can work. Yep. Anything to just clean out energy, because energy is real. Energy is a thing. Ask the quantum physicist, you know.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting because at the end of our meeting, one of the gals had brought in one of the small singing bowls.
Oh,
And she just was clanging it, tapping it to get that sound like the end of the meeting. And I go, oh, have you ever used it? And so I started getting it singing, and she's like, oh, I feel all tingly.
that's so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the crystal and the metal gong bowls and everything, they absolutely clean spaces and raise energy. All of that stuff is so important and so powerful and really helpful. I was funny. I'm thinking of an argument I had with my father before he died. I'd like to have this conversation with him now, but I had gone back to my childhood home to visit the family, and I complained to my father that there was just a lot of negative energy in that house because there had always been so much turmoil when we were growing up and everything. And I hurt my dad's feelings by saying that because he had put so much care and love into that home, and I felt so bad afterwards. And I said, no, it's not about that, Dad. It's just about lingering arguments and all that stuff. And he said, there's no such thing as bad energy. And I know from conversations I've had with him since then on the other side, like I've apologized for that. And I've said, I hope you don't think I ever thought you didn't make a beautiful home for us. And I've heard him say to me, and you're right, energy is real. And now I know that from the other side.
Wow.
So yes, we need to clean out energy. If any of you have ever been to New Orleans and been in some of those buildings in the French Quarter, you feel the energy. There are some of them you walk in and it just sort of, whoa, there's been a lot of pain happen in the room, So you have to really protect yourself a lot in New Orleans when you're going in those ancient buildings. All right, so let's hear a couple people share their spiritual gifts, and then I want to hear about how you see God in everything and everyone, what tools you use. Anyone want to share about those things? No.
I think my healing is, we talked about Reiki, so physical, and then kind of words and comfort. And
Beautiful. And Mindy, how do you see God in everything and everyone? Do you have a technique you use to do that?
This week has been a challenging week for me. It just seems like everything has kept like bubbling up, and there was one in here that says, whenever he fails, give thanks to God that he's leading him into a higher place where there can be fuller and more complete manifestation of the divine presence through him. And I thought that was good. I always, when something comes up like that, I always just think that they're on their own path and they're doing their own thing. And that's kind of how I try to look at it. And then after reading this, looking through one eye, that's my new thing, is to, when something comes like that, we need to look through one eye.
That's right. And see God only. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Mindy. Well, we're holding you in grace and love for whatever challenges you're having this week. So anybody else want to talk about that ability or the struggle to see God in everyone and everything, and what techniques? We're never going to be perfect with that. We're going to have moments where, we're just seeing the dark side of somebody when they're acting out. But if we can then go to our meditation, go to our quiet place within, or even just say an affirmation. I always say this thing of, God, help me to see this person as a soul on a journey. Because once I can shift into that lens of seeing them as a soul on a journey, struggling and in pain, because they are, if they're acting out, it means they're in pain. Then I can love on them and I can feel compassion, once I rise above the personality phase of humans. So what techniques do you all use for that?
podcasts.
Ooh, I like that, Gina.
Thank goodness I live in the age of the podcast, because when I'm in my kitchen doing dishes or in the car, I just pop on, a podcast that talks about, I love listening to ones about near-death experiences that remind me that we're living in this sort of dream that we've created, and it's all about love and compassion, and on the other side we just need to recognize it when we're here, and or I just choose something that will just give me that spiritual inspiration, and I think just hearing the messages over and over and over again, they've really started seeping in to the point where then when I get out of the car, when I interact with my husband, it's like I'm starting to choose to see the God within them, honor their light, even when I feel like frustrating things are happening around me. So,
oh, that's so good, Gina. That's really good. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Anybody else? Because we're getting near the end here, but I'd love to hear from anybody who would like to share.
Okay.
Oh, good, Verl.
Well, as I shared with the group earlier, it's just the part about in the book where I was talking about, you listen to lectures, you read all the books, I've done all that. And now I need to just say, okay, I'm here, God, where are you? And then God comes to me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the birds singing when I'm walking in nature.
Yeah.
Nature is it for me. It really is for my connection with God. I have a friend, Julie, that says, I've never met a stranger, though. She's always saying that, Verl, you've never met a stranger.
So true, Verl.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And I'll give you, but see, I see God in people. So I want to talk to him and, say, okay. So I'll give you an example. Last night, Kate and I were out at a restaurant. I embarrassed
You guys
Kate.
are going out to dinner without me?
Yeah, sorry, but I embarrassed Kate, didn't I, Kate?
No, you didn't. No, you're you. You were.
Anyway, we were sitting in a booth, and the couple, there were two couples behind us, and they're talking about walking. Well, I'm a big walker. It's very important to me that I get my steps in every day, because that's when I'm out meeting God and meeting people and talking to people and having a good time. So anyway, I get up and Kate's going, no.
No, I just said you're going to do it, aren't you?
You were thinking it. Anyway, so I go over and I said, oh, I heard you talking about taking steps or about doing steps. And so the guy pulls out his Fitbit and he's looking at it and he's got 77,934 steps. Jeez. And I went, wow. I mean, what period of time is this? Right. He said, oh, it's been a year. This is what I do in a year. And I went, whoa. So he says, are you a walker? I said, yeah, I am. He says, so what do you have? So I'm showing him, I had 16,000 something for yesterday.
Wow.
And the younger guy that was sitting across from the guy that was talking to me, he said, that's really good for you. He says, I'm a doctor. I'm telling you, that is really good for you to be out walking, and I said, that's when I get to go and meet people. I get to talk to people and, and he said, keep it up. So now my goal is 77,000 steps. In 1 year.
Verl, you know what your spiritual gifts are, Verl?
What?
Being Verl.
Yeah.
That's it. We all wish we were more like Verl.
I am one of a kind, aren't I?
That's right. But Kate and Verl, you guys are going out to dinner without me. We're going to have to do something about
that.
Okay.
Well, where we went, this is funny, where we went last night, they're closing today. The restaurant is closing. Today was their last day. And
we'll find someplace.
Yeah, we'll find someplace, but and we always had a special waitress, that we would ask for. And she was a character, and she said, I hope I'm going to see you girls. They're moving to another location. So we'll have to go. Yep, we like to go out and mingle with people.
Well, one other thing I wanted to say, and Verl sort of touched on it, is somewhere in the book, and I can't remember what page or chapter, she talks about that we need to be still and sit within the I am within inside of us. And I was thinking about how, because in our Western culture, we're taught like, if there's a problem, you need to go out and find a solution, or you've got to talk to somebody about it, or you've got to physically do something about it. Whereas if your go-to first is to sit in the silence, to go to the I am within, to have that conversation with your God consciousness and ask God or your God consciousness to take care of it first and be still, that creates miracles. When we're always going and doing and being and talking, our ego gets too involved in solving problems, and the ego can't solve problems. So remember that whatever comes at you in life, your first go-to can be to sit in the silence and go within and turn it over to the God consciousness to bring it to its perfect place. That can be an affirmation. That can be a moment of mantra repetition or prayer repetition. But that will not only take the load off of your shoulders of feeling you've always got to solve something, do something, but give it a minute. Give it a minute for the divine consciousness of God to step in and bring it to its perfect resolution. So on that note, I just want to thank all of you so much for having been a part of this class. It's been an absolute joy to go through Emily Cady with you. We could spend another whole month on this book for sure. But it's been such a joy, and I hope you'll join my April class on Eric Butterworth's book, Discover the Power Within You. That's, oh, there you go, Kate. That is the best ever book too. So then you'll have these two books, these two tools, the Emily Cady and the Eric Butterworth book, and you can keep them both at your bedside. And if you're ever having anxiety or worries or fear, you can just open them and see what page they open to and read it. And it can really help you and really uplift you. And God knows we all need upliftment in our lives and in these times in the world. So on that note, I'm going to give us a closing prayer. We are stepping into the light of complete gratitude for our time together, for our open-hearted sharing with each other, and for the love that we carry for everyone in this group, and even those who couldn't attend every class. We know that they are in our hearts and we love them, and they get to hear this recording and be a part of our class. And so we send them the great joy and blessing of Emily Cady's wisdom, of Emily Cady's profound spiritual insight. And we ask Emily Cady to continue whispering in our ears and helping us live our best lives. And so it is. Thank you all so much. Love you.
Thank you. Love
You.
And Sue, if you
Thank you.
teach a meditation class, let me know.
Yeah, I'd love to do that again.
I
I'll
want
have
to do
get-
that.
That'd be
get on the
great.
Calendar.
Got it
Yeah.
wrong.
So I get to
Okay.
see Kate and Verl on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And Tina.
Gotta run.
Yeah, and some other people, hopefully. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. Love you. Bye.
Thank you.
Love you
Thank
back.
you.
Love you back.